Our guest today openly admits she had a rough start in the title industry. More than a few tears were shed, but a combination of persistence and taking advantage of the resources and people there to help along the way, she's been able to take that knowledge and help many other agents going through the same struggles. I'm talking about Andi Bolin, a Texas-based agency rep for Stewart Title. Andi's experience and bubbly personality makes her uniquely suited for her role to support agents and to provide advice on everything from getting through the tough times, leading with empathy and humility, and really helpful tips for evaluating vendors. We talk about all of these things and more, so make sure you listen to the end. This episode is part 2 in our series centered around the 2023 State of the Title Industry Survey and Report. To make sure you catch them all, please subscribe where you listen to podcasts, and maybe even take a moment to leave us a review. It really helps us out. Also, if you haven't already downloaded your copy of this year's report, you can grab it at stateoftitle.com. I'm Lindsay Gordon, and this is Title Talks. Now to my interview with Andi. Hey Andi, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining me today. I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
So where are you joining me from today?
I am joining you from the Galleria in Houston on a rainy day. I don't think we've seen rain in 462 years, and today, of all days, the rain shall cometh from the sky.
Oh, well, I hope it's got like a nice cozy feel for you at least.
It does. It does.
So for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you work for and what it is that you do.
Well, let's just start with the basics. My name is Andi Bolin. Hello. And I am an agency sales manager, services manager for Stewart Title Guarantee Company. I service our incredible agent partners that are based in Houston all the way down to the Valley and to the coast of Texas, all the way to the border, basically south of San Antonio to the border. So I have, a pretty decent sized territory. And what that looks like for me on a day-to-day basis is whatever their needs are as far as a partnership with their underwriter, that is what I get to fulfill. And based on the size of their agent, from huge agents to very small rural agents, everyone has a different need. And so I'm never able to encapsulate exactly what I do because I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to fill in what they tell me what their needs are, and then I find a way to all right, let me pivot and figure out how to solve for that solution. So to put that in to one little circle would be really hard, and yet I feel like every day is a new challenge or a new opportunity. So I just really feel like I'm a relationship manager that bridges the gap of the agent need with what the underwriter offers and figures out how to be the best partner for them.
That's awesome. So you obviously have had a lot of experience in the title industry, a lot of different kinds of experiences. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what kind of makes you, uniquely awesome for this kind of role that you're in now.
Well, I thank you for saying that I'm uniquely awesome. I'm going to put that as my new tagline, uniquely awesome. Andi Bolin, uniquely awesome. Done. I started in this business as an open order girl. And to be completely transparent, I was told very early on I was never going to make it. I think I cried every single day for the first 6 months. I shared an office with somebody who had been doing this for a really long time, and she was so intimidating that I either had two options. I was going to sink or I was going to sink further, is what I kind of felt. So my option was A, just sink a little bit. And that's kind of what I did. And every time an opportunity presented itself, I kind of went with that. A lot of it was just being in the right place at the right time. I can't honestly say with like a whole heart that every move that I made was maybe the right move. I probably did make lots of friends sometimes along the way. But I think early in your career, when you're just trying to figure out what that looks like and how to pivot in professional settings and create those relationships and what it really looks like to be in an industry where there is no blueprint, because that's what title insurance is. We just come in here, we hope that there's a space for us, and we sometimes have to pull up our own chair. Sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. I'm hoping now in my ripe old age of coming down the hill that I am learning how to pivot in a much more fluid way and creating those relationships, hopefully doing it more smoothly, learning how to massage conversations differently than I did. I would like to say I was a bull in a china cabinet early on. I'm probably still a bull in a china cabinet, and yet now I wear ballet shoes instead of concrete boots. But from open order girl, it just kind of progressed. I had some opportunities for some people who really looked out for me when changes happened in my career that opened doors for me that would not have been opened otherwise. At one point, I had the opportunity to be the president of a title company in the Houston market, and that experience by itself, while I had no idea what I was doing when I started, I really leaned on a lot of people. And I will tell you that our Texas Association of TLTA and even learning about Alta, I leaned on Alta in a way that I don't know if it was healthy in the beginning, because I was introduced to Alta by one of my underwriters at the time, and I will forever be grateful to her, because I didn't know Alta existed or was a thing. And I went to an Alta meeting and I felt like I was in Disneyland. Like it was this new space where all of these new characters lived, and I could be anyone I wanted to be in that space because no one knew me. And they were all willing to let me be a part of their ride. And they were like, come over here. And every committee felt like a new ride. They were like, come over here and do this and come over. And they were willing to share. And they were like, you can sit in my seat. And that's what it felt like. And so I embraced that and took all of that knowledge back to my agency. Was able to grow that agency, was able to learn a lot of things, made a lot of mistakes. I will tell you that anybody who doesn't talk about the mistakes that they made, we are missing out on some opportunities, because if there was a mistake to be made, I probably made it, and I probably made it real. There's probably craters in the ground with the mistakes that I made. And yet I am so grateful for those mistakes, because I was able to then make another opportunity happen from them. And all of that kind of got me into this space that I raised my hand when I saw a post on none other than LinkedIn, Stewart with a position, and I just said, is this something that you think that I would be good at? And I had a conversation, and they were like, what do you think about doing this? And I knew that I wanted to take all of the things that I had learned and been able to do for so long, and if I could share just a little bit of what I had gathered in those years, again, all of the craters I had made, if I could help other people make smaller not make craters, but maybe make divots, I would be more than happy to share. I've never wanted anything to ever belong to just me. There was like a freedom in being able to give all of that knowledge kind of like openly and freely. And this position has been so rewarding, and I have met so many people that I would not have met without making this change, that I really feel like I have I have upgraded from Disneyland to Disney World now because now I can travel around the universe.
So you obviously have a lot of interactions, like on the day to day with agents. You, like you had said, like really from really small agencies to pretty large agencies. So like you see a lot, like the kind of the gamut. So what I'm trying to get a sense of is like, what do you feel like this year? Or even this summer, this, like with the market the way it is, like what is the overall vibe right now you feel like among the agents that you work with?
I think it's across the board. The vibe is really concerning for a lot of owners and people that even just work in the agencies. Obviously, we're seeing a slowdown in business. We are looking at things that we can't control. As people who have, a lot of us, ridden out this storm before in this wave, we know that this business is cyclical, and some people have been in this cycle before. Some people are new to the cycle. So when it's a new cycle that you've never dealt with before, it's scary, it's intimidating. You're really just trying to figure out like how to get your footing, what to do next, how to predict um, future cast, and how you're going to survive this. They're looking at ways to grow their teams, ways to do education, how they can better provide. They're also looking at ways to, obviously grow revenue. That's the biggest thing. Like everyone is in this space where you just feel a lot of pressure and weight. And that's kind of the resounding noise that I hear, or the conversation is, when do you think the market's going to change? Like, when do we see a change? And if there was anything that I could wish for, it would be a crystal ball, because I would like to give all of them the reassurance that it's not permanent. The best that I could do is remind everyone the reason we have cycles is because what goes down has to come up. That's why I like to go to Disney World, because the rides are fun. While this part of the ride isn't fun, but we do enjoy the incline when we're going. Tick, 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 tick. Everyone knows what that sound is like when you're going up the ride. The anticipation. The down isn't always as great, and this is the time where I'm like leaning in heavy of, where can we support you to help you get through this, because we know this isn't the last time we're going to have a cycle. And where do you see the opportunities? Because when we have the next uptick, you don't want to have this conversation with me. You're going to be too busy. So I need to lean all in, all forward. You're going to see me more times than you want to, so that I can give you everything that I've got while you have the time to take in everything that I can give.
Yeah, well, you're not
But
drinking from a fire hose, basically.
yeah, because when they're busy, I'm just a cheerleader. I'm like, you got this. I'm supporting you. You can do it. Like when they're busy. When they're not busy, they're like, what should we be masterminding? I'm like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks.
Each year we ask agents like what they think that their peers, like how, like kind of assessing how well do they think their peers are doing like title work. And it's always funny and not super surprising that most people say that, like they themselves are doing a great job, but that their peers could probably do better. And so and a good amount of people said that they had no opinion on it, which I totally respect. We added that option this year. It's like, if you don't want to, talk about it. But I'm just curious if you have like an idea, if you think, where would this come from? I know that there's like a sense of pride in title work, but do you think that like a lot of people, or having been in it yourself, that you see a lot of times you come across things where you're like, wow, someone really didn't do a very thorough job on this, or that sort of thing?
I think that we all across the board have strengths and weaknesses. And where we show up best is supporting each other. Because at the end of the day, in the space where I operate, our job is to help title agents perform better. Our job is to help them be the best that they can be at what they're doing. And if we're able to work collectively together, rather than in a situation where we're pitted against each other and our agents can see that we are team players, it's going to make it easier for them when there is an opportunity for something to shift from one person or one company to another company, for us to rally around them for their success, because their success ultimately translates to our success. And if my only resolution from doing anything that I do looks like my agents winning, then that's a win for me, because my job is to help them win. Now, if I'm not doing a great job, that's on me and how I show up. But I want to play in this field with my peers in the best shape and the best version of me that I can show up, and hope that that resonates with my peers, so that when there is an opportunity for us to all play together, we provide a level of service that allows them to execute daily at a higher level. Because what that does is it allows the consumer to be protected at a higher level. And we, from what I understand, are all in the business of protecting, at the end of the day, the consumer. So that's kind of how I see myself. Yes, I know we're all trying to get that extra revenue bump. We're all trying to win that extra piece of business. But really, at the end of the day, I want to see my agents win, because if they win, the consumer wins, we all win, and our industry looks better as a whole. And that is what is important to me, is that this career is lasting and standing, and we're able to fight against the people that are trying to come in and invalidate what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I love that. Basically, what you were saying kind of reminded me of a lot of the argument around when they were talking about unregulated title insurance alternatives. If there's a lot of the issues that get cleared up are things that just come across in the course of normal title work. It could be some small little issue that someone didn't notice, because for one reason or another, or it was a clerical error. Just some really basic things that can happen in the course of doing business, that if these issue or policies aren't being issued, and the due diligence isn't being done, then those things don't get cleaned up, and it really is everybody's responsibility, as property exchanges hands, to do a thorough look and make sure those issues do get cleaned up. I just think basically what you're saying, I feel rings really true, that it is ultimately it's not about I found this issue that someone else didn't find. It really is about the fact that we're all in this work to make sure that the consumer is protected.
100%. We can't. I feel like it's disingenuous for us to go to battle together to fight whoever is coming into our industry to devalue us and to say your product is no longer needed, and then for us to fight amongst each other. When really, I have made a couple of mistakes in my career. It just has happened. I mean, I've missed a thing or two. I've sent out, let's be honest, I've sent out a payoff wire to a bad guy one time. I've made those mistakes. I can resonate with those mistakes. And so for me, when an agent does that, I have a place to stand and be I've made that mistake. Now, if one of my peers wants to be don't work with that person, she's made that mistake. Yeah, that's why I resonate when an agent calls me and they're in a panic and I can find a solution for that. I don't want to be in a place where I'm your work is bad, my work is better, because there's going to be a point where a mistake is made, and it's how we pivot from that opportunity to say, you're right, a mistake was made. This is how we're going to pivot and do something different. But we are all if perfection was a indicator of whether or not we all worked, I mean,
we'd all be out of jobs.
You,
no one would be working.
I would agree. Be in a hotbed of mess.
No, I love that. Absolutely love what you have to say about that. That's awesome. So another question I wanted to ask you about. So every year we also ask what everyone's biggest challenge is. Right now we just have them kind of self-identify. This year and every year, the biggest challenge that we see, and the what falls next kind of changes year to year depending on like what market forces are happening. But this year everyone said juggling too many tasks is like their biggest challenge, which is still kind of interesting considering the market's down so much. So before I go into the question a little bit further, I think that's interesting, like that juggling too many tasks. Does that sound like something, even without maybe the number of transactions as we've seen, in the past, several years when things were up really high? Like, do you feel like, does it make sense to you that people are saying that juggling too many tasks is still an issue for them?
1,000%. 1,000% agree. Yes. I feel that myself. It resonates with me. Like, if you were to ask me, like, what is my biggest challenge? I say yes to everything. I don't have enough hours. I made a joke earlier this year, shame on me, that I didn't have enough to do. And my boss laughed at me. And now he texts me and says, oh, do you not have enough to do now? And I literally, like, there's so much. I don't, like, some days I feel like my bandwidth I'm like on the fumes. Now, it helps that, again, I love this career. Like, I feel like if I could be born into anything, I'd be like a title baby. Like, I'm just a teeny tiny title baby. Even though I got here really late, I feel like getting here in my late 20s was maybe helpful to the industry. I wish I would have got here sooner, but who knows what kind of craters I would have created then. But 100%, because I think for me, I see it from the lens of when the market is in the place that it is now, the demand for your time is higher because other people have more time for your time. And so they ask more of it. So it is now October 3rd. I will tell you currently my calendar is booked out almost through Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And that's a lot for me. When it was in the busy months, it wasn't like that. When we were busy, when it was COVID era, I mean, I was lucky if I like popped in, hi, how you doing? What do you need? What can I help you with? Here's some things. Here's some tools. They're like, we'll let you know. Okay, guys. I felt like more of a mascot, like a Stewart, like I just needed a cape and like
just a quick drop by. Hi, guys.
Yeah, just a quick, like, I'm here. I miss you guys. Glad y'all are doing it. I have one. Oh, I love these guys. They call all of their working files blessings. And I would pop in and they would be like, we have so many blessings. We're so blessed. We're drowning in blessings.
I need a bit of a vacation from all the blessings.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. That's awesome. Being really like inundated with so many different tasks, obviously, is a huge challenge. So what we had asked, because everyone's talking about AI, everyone's talking about ChatGPT.
Yes.
No one is really necessarily talking about like super practical applications in like the title sphere. But what we asked is like if people would think about, or if they'd consider, or if they already had brought AI into their title production workflow. So 20%, which was pretty high, said that they were looking into it. 7% said that they had already been utilizing AI in their production workflow. And then 60% said, like, not at this time. So I'm just curious to know if it's something that you hear about among your agents, if you feel like it's something that, is like a viable option right now, something you're seeing people utilize, or if it just kind of feels like I saw a lot of people who answered some things like never, like we would never do something like that, or never bring AI, or people are a little nervous about robots taking over and that sort of thing, or just concerned about overall like quality and like what that would mean. But anyways, just curious like what you've heard from agents you deal with.
I will say that from the agents I deal with, that for the most part, they're not using it for their title production workflow. It's not a conversation that we've brought up. I do have a small group that is starting to utilize it in other places in their business, mostly in sales and marketing and with their escrow teams and kind of streamlining those processes, just on the title production space. And yet there is an opportunity to ask and start utilizing some of those AI aspects with basic questions, because I don't know if you know, I know, and there's probably others that know that there are companies that are using it. And so with companies using it, they're filling in that information and the algorithm with those maybe basic underwriting questions for like our newer entries into the title insurance world, where you would have to knock on someone's door, ask them a question. Depending on how long that they've been in the business, if they're a veteran, they might give you the head nod and the answer. But it's an opportunity for us to maybe leverage some of that initial learning with some of the basics into those systems to help create some fluid opportunities, I would say. But in the title production space, I haven't asked, to be completely honest, if we are using it on the underwriter level. I do not believe that we are, but again, I don't want to speak for Stewart since I did not ask them that question. It's just not something that we have talked about. So if they are doing it, it's something that's happening without a conversation had. I do know that we have a committee that Stewart has put together that is focused on AI and what that looks like and the build out of that and how that application could work and how we could use that in the future. And I'm not on that committee, so I don't have any details because that is above my tree. My branch on the tree.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I like artificial intelligence versus like just automation. Like I know that some people are using like automation to help with. I mean, some title production softwares have some stuff built in, but like in terms of like order entry and things like that, I think a lot of tasks have been a little bit more automated, depending on where you go or what systems you might be using, but. Yeah, I think everyone I've asked it's kind of similar. I would be curious to like reach out to those people who said that they're already using it and get a better sense of like how and what they're doing with it.
Definitely. Yeah, because I'm curious of like how the accuracy of it, how much they are cleaning up after it gets put in the system. If they are using AI to answer those basic questions, how accurate is it? I would love to be able to play with it more. But again, I say yes to all the other things that I feel like and it's just like on the list of like things I want to get done. It's on the list, but it's like down here because no one's really asking for that yet. But at the point in which more people start saying, hey, Andi, does AI help with this? I might move it up the list. Right now, they're like, how does AI help me write an email? And I'm like, let me show you.
Yeah. Well, those things too. It's like, and I think we had a conversation a while ago with a guy who works in marketing, and it was basically like, it's not so much the title work, but it is like all of the other stuff that you're like often spending a lot of time on, in your business that you might be able to kind of outsource to robots. And like allow that to like write an email, like I don't want to have to sit here and draft this, or like if you're still doing social media on your own, like write some posts for me or that sort of thing.
I needed to create an itinerary this morning at 7:30, a mock itinerary for something that we're putting together, and I put it into ChatGPT and I said I need an itinerary for this amount of space from this time to this time with this hour sessions with this number of breaks. And I put it in there and it spit it out. And now all I have to do is put that in my clipboard and go and change it. But it's already built out.
The framework is there. So you don't have to do that. Yeah.
That's yes. Cool. And when I teach like ChatGPT to real estate agents in our CE space, I tell them like your brain is only programmed to make so many decisions and be creative so many times a day. So when you get to the end of the day and you're still looking at how to make fake posts and how to what you want to post on Instagram, and you're like, I need to make this post, I have to put a caption on it, and you just can no longer be creative, like use this as a tool to get you started as like, all right, I'm not going to sit at the stop sign anymore. I'm going to roll through this. Here's an idea. Okay, great. I'll use this as a framework, and now I'm going to put my personality, because anybody who knows me knows ChatGPT isn't going to capture that.
No, definitely not. Yeah. There's still tweaking that needs to happen,
Yeah,
but it's like
absolutely.
it's a good starting spot, and it's like it's
You
not, you're not
gotta
staring at a
dress
blank
it
page.
up. Yeah, I gotta put
exactly.
my own like zhuzh on it.
Yeah, for sure. So the other thing I wanted to bring up was, what's like the most important thing when it comes to choosing your partner, your vendor partners, your search partners, your outsource partners? Like, what's the most important thing that you're looking for? And the absolute top is the quality of work and the quality of the product that you're getting, which makes a ton of sense. And then, you know, the next thing down is price, is the next most important thing, which I just thought was kind of funny, or not necessarily funny, but it just sort of surprised me, I guess, that price would be like the second most important thing over things like being integrated with the software that you use to like save time, or like making ordering and monitoring easier, or like good communication. Because so much of this work is just something that you can is a pass-through cost. Like, why do you think price is something that people are so sensitive to?
I think price right now is so sensitive because of the market, and everyone's looking to save more money, obviously on their expenses, on that bottom line. And I agree with you. Like, to me, that's super surprising, because you can save $5, but if it costs you 2 hours to fix a $5 savings problem, you didn't save any money. So while you want a great product, one, that should be obviously your number one. You need a good product. And number two, I agree in regards to like the integration option and having a product that's integrated, because it's ease of work. The less number of clicks, the more efficient your team can be, the more work that can be produced, the more ease of access that it helps with just getting things out the door. But also, I would say, which is more valuable than cost, is how that partner pivots when there is an issue, because price can't save that for you. You can't justify a pivot in a problem with price. If there is something that happens, because all of us know that nothing works 100% of the time 100% of the time, and when those issues come up and you are saving $1, is there going to be the same level of response for the least expensive product on the market when what's the cost of losing you? So I would say, for me, as a person who was formerly making those decisions, that's how my rank looked. It was how the product worked in the beginning. Did we integrate? Did they integrate? And how did they respond to feedback? How did they respond when there was an issue? And then price, because I'm willing to pay a little bit extra for something that is better.
Yeah.
I mean, look at cars.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Look at handbags. Like, look at the
Yeah.
things that consumers spend their money on that last longer. That's just the way that I see it. And I understand some people are not in a position to save that money, are not in a position to be like, I can't afford X. For me, my question is always, is there another place that we can look at where we can save the same amount of money, but we're not compromising the quality of what you're looking at and the product that you're receiving? Or are you hiring a person on your payroll to double check this work that's coming in to make sure it's accurate, because it's maybe an inferior product? All of these other things that we talk about, because price should not be the differentiator if it's not the same. If it's the same exact quality and everything else matches exactly, I get it. But if it doesn't, that's a different conversation. And again, when there's an issue, sometimes I feel like the lowest person, the 1 to 0, the person to 0 kind of has you. Where's their motivation to work with you when they're already at 0? They're like, you're not going to leave me. So you'll
I'm the
just,
cheapest. You chose me
yeah.
because I'm cheaper. I undercut everybody else. So
Yeah,
yeah.
so for me, I'm like, oh, I don't want you to leave me. I'm going to work my behind off to make you as happy as possible because I know I don't have the cheapest product. So,
Yeah, no, that's a
yeah.
good point. Awesome. Yeah. I was gonna say the last question I had is, if agents are out there struggling right now and they're just kind of like sitting there, thinking when will things turn around? When will they be better? What's something that you can say or that you do say, in your normal interactions that could help potentially give them a little hope?
I ask them to look at things differently. One, how long, I remind them that we have been through this before, that never, ever have we stayed in a declining market for eternity. There is never a line on our, in history that is a straight line at the bottom. So we're going to come out of it. What can we focus on now that we can change? We're not going to change the interest rate. We're not going to change the economy. We're not going to change the Fed. We're not going to change the housing market. We can't list more houses. We can't change what our competitors are doing. Those are the things we can't change. What we can change, and one of the things that I just talked about to a group of agents was looking at what you can do to differentiate yourself and your market. And this typically pertains to my agents that are in larger markets, but I like to call it the Buc-ee's effect. Do you have a Buc-ee's?
I just went on a quick road trip this weekend and like we passed it and it was like it literally like backing up the exit off of I-75. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know. But yeah, I know of Buc-ee's, yes.
So for me, it's like for so long we've heard about Chick-fil-A and we've heard about Zappos and they have this like great service model. And we all, when we hear the words my pleasure, we think of one company. I like to talk about what Buc-ee's did, and they created a business model by listening to what the consumer wanted. And the consumer wanted clean bathrooms that weren't sketchy, that they weren't afraid to go into when they were on the road. They just wanted to stop and a clean bathroom when they were traveling. So that's what Buc-ee's created. And you can now Buc-ee's bathrooms are probably cleaner than most bathrooms in most homes. The way that they have team members who clean those bathrooms, that's their sole job in that gas station. And it's more than a gas station because now you'll drive down the road, you'll pass 15 empty gas stations to get to that gas station for a clean bathroom. You'll wait in line for a gas pump. Most of the time, you haven't even paid attention to how much the gas is at the gas station. Once you get to the gas pump, you go inside the store, you spend $80 on roasted nuts, a fountain drink, an icy, probably some beef jerky, something cold from the cooler. More than likely, if it's your first trip, you're gonna buy a shirt with a beaver on it. Then you have to buy a sticker to put on your car so everyone knows you stopped at a gas station that you had no intention of buying when you stopped in there. They've created this whole thing all because they've solved a problem the consumer had, which was a clean bathroom. So what is, in this moment, have you looked back at, if you do reviews, if you ask your clients, if you ask the people that come into your office to do closings for reviews and feedback, are we focusing on the 4 and 5 stars? Because those are easy to focus on, right? Because those feed our ego. Those are the ones that make us feel good. If we take a minute to step back and focus on the 1 and 2 stars, those are going to feed our company. Because those give us an opportunity to pivot and really provide a value and a service to the consumer. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. So I am challenging them to really look at how they can provide that extra level of service in this downtime when they have the time to focus on that, so that when the market goes back up, they are ready to serve at a level that they haven't served at before by listening to those opportunities that are created in those 1 and 2 stars. And if those 1 and 2 stars are always about communication, then that's where the hole is. And how can they solve for that hole when it's slow? Because solving for that hole when it's busy is nearly impossible.
Such a good point. So good. Thank you so much, Andi. I really appreciate you spending time.
Thank you.
Offering your insight. You're just a joy to chat with anyway. So thank you so much, really. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Talk to you later. Bye, Andi.
Bye.
You can get even more insights by downloading the full 2023 State of the Title Industry Report at stateoftitle.com. Stay tuned for next week's episode, where we'll feature Alta CEO Diane Tom. Be sure to subscribe to Title Talks wherever you listen to podcasts. Title Talks is a production of PropLogix. We're a tech-enabled due diligence provider committed to helping title professionals get to the closing table with confidence. For information about our time-saving services, head to proplogix.com. That's proplogix.com. And until next time, happy closings.